What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Anytime Anywhere podcast with your host, moi, Jaleesa Kayla. Happy Friday, y'all. So I ain't gonna speak too much about my weekend because we all know what happens when you're talking about your weekend. Creator be like, oh, for real? Bam. No, but seriously, speaking of the creator, so I was just sitting here talking to myself, and really I seen a sign that said there's power in self-identity, or something along the lines of that, or the power of self-identity. And it started to have the wheels churn for me, and I was like, yeah, how do I identify myself? So I just started chatting about it. Like, when it comes to me, I identify myself as being a free spiritualist. And what that means for me is that I don't box myself in. When it comes to spirituality, my spiritual journey, my growth, and what I subscribe to, I don't box myself in. I allow myself to explore different cultures, different spiritual practices, different knowledge, and if it aligns, then that knowledge turns into wisdom, and it's something that I adopt into my life over time. Now, over time, some things I end, I might not continue to practice, but then there's other things that I will continue to practice, or that I'll pick up or drop or get back to. I don't allow myself to remain stagnant when it comes to my spirituality, because how I like to think of it is, you won't know unless you explore. I've always been like that. Now, explore with discernment and with reason, but I'm so locked in with the Most High. I feel, that I'm so locked in that I have been gifted the ability to explore and to see what fits me, versus just accepting what was told to me and what was forced upon me. I had to see for myself. But, however, although I practice freely and allow myself to explore, at the core of my spiritual practice, at the root of my values and morals, I know that there is a higher power. I know that there is the universe and a being that's greater than myself that I get to co-create with. I get to co-conspire with in this lifetime and beyond, to align myself with what's meant for me, and to align myself with the creator, as well as, my ancestors, namely my benevolent ancestors and my spiritual team. And they help me with figuring out what my values are. They are a part of my values. I value myself. I value my connection and my relationship with the Most High. I value my connection and my relationship with my spiritual team. I value, and that's what I base my relationships in the flesh on. How I treat people, how I allow others to treat me, how I show up. I didn't always have this core set of values. My values were family, which it still is, but my values were living well, eating well, having the money and things to survive, and it's so much more than that. Yeah, so I allow myself to explore and learn and turn what I've learned into wisdom if it feels right. Some things don't feel right in the moment, or I don't have enough information to practice, and I'll come back to it later, or I never come back to it because, again, it just doesn't, for me personally, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't align with what I believe and what feels right in my spirit. So I'm grateful for that gift. I'm grateful for the opportunity for things to be as such, and yeah, a lot of that moves, or it has structured what my values are. Like I said, I didn't always have that certain structure. I didn't always have the same beliefs that I have now. It was kind of like murky when it came to my beliefs, because I had family members prominent family members that were Christians, Baptists, Jehovah Witness, some that were like Muslim. So I was exposed to a good bit of religion in different aspects, practiced, differently among different groups of people. However, for myself, I just always felt free, a little lost in what to believe in. But of course, the how can I say, what is the word I want to use? The default practice and belief was that, Jesus was our Savior. And until, like I said, I grew and just it was placed upon my heart and my mind to expand beyond it. So for me, that is not the truth. However, I don't shame or fault anyone if that is their belief. It's just personally that is not my belief. And I feel like gaining the knowledge that I have thus far, there's so much that I do not know in this present moment. However, what the knowledge that I do have and what has been reawakened, it's allowed me to, like I said, get closer to my ancestors and to trust in the Most High more. The experiences that I've had thus far has allowed me to be a believer without doubt, and that's getting stronger and stronger, and I'm just so grateful for that. But yeah, I had to think about my self-identity. I'm somebody who, and you can't put me in a box. I'm not going to put me in a box. I'm not going to allow anyone else to put me in a box, which people try to do. We try to make sense of things. But, that's unique depending on, again, how much wisdom you have, how much life you've experienced. Your box is going to look different from somebody else's box. However, it's still a box. So don't box me in. Some boxes are smaller than others that people try to fit you in. It's just like, oh, yeah, no, that's not what's going on over here. But I see you. I feel you. I kind of understand why you might. But that's not my duty either to understand why you might. I just, am working on constantly saying, yeah, no, that's not what I believe in. But I respect what you believe in. And there's lessons in what you believe in that I like to pull from. It's not all wrong. So, yeah, when it comes to my identity, that's what it is basically. I'm a free practicing spiritualist with my heritage and, my ancestors at the core of that. But before all that, Heavenly Mother and Father, of course. Yeah. So I just wanted to come on here and share that bit. When it comes to, I guess I can touch on my values a little bit more. When it comes to my values, I value, like I said, my relationship with the Most High, my ancestors, my spiritual team. I value my relationship with myself. I value my family. I value those who value me, though. Like, let's not get it twisted, That's something else that I've picked up and I'm learning. And I'm still refining that, But, yeah, I value my family. I value the connections that appreciate and respect my growth, I value my peace. I value my nervous system. I value my time. I value my energy so much more. Oh my gosh. Like, I value all those things. And then there's the morals, Well, first, let me finish with the values. I value fun. I value freedom. I value expression, self-expression, I value my unique creativity and talent. I'm grateful that I was gifted with what I'm gifted with. I value my mind, if I haven't said that already. Because it's serious. I don't think you know what it means to value your mind until you almost lose it. Yeah, and I don't have my mic right now, so this is a super raw episode recording. But yeah, I may re-record, I may not, because this is the Anytime Anywhere podcast where you're liable to hear anything at any time. Thank you for listening. I would like to further touch on this topic. However, I want to be in a great space when I do so. But I would like to hear from y'all. You know, how do you identify yourself? That's just the tip of the iceberg for me. But how do you identify yourself? Let me know in the comments below. Yeah, let me know how you identify yourself. And I don't want anybody coming at anybody else for their beliefs. Surely, you're not going to come from me, because that's not going to change what is for me. You know what I'm saying? But again, I'm open, so I love to be introduced to different practices and, you know, have my mind opened up to different ways of seeing things that I haven't before. Whether it aligns or not, I can still read, you know, and still take things in, but I don't have to marry it. You know, I don't have to claim it for self. I'm open in that regard, but with boundaries. So, you know, let's just all be respectful of everyone's, you know, beliefs and practices and way of life without feeling the need to change or bash. But yeah, I would really like to know how you identify yourself. And what self-identity means for you. Have you even thought about it? Is it based on what everyone else has told you about yourself? You know, was it a little bit of that along with you just figuring out for yourself? Where are you in your self-identity journey? And things will, for me personally, will continue to bloom. And like I said, I'll pick up some things and drop some things. It's just all about alignment and the timing. So yeah, thank you guys for listening as always. And if this episode is like if it's just a little too much, then I'll re-record again. But again, I just love to give my real raw in the moment, in the present moment, ideas, thoughts, and experiences as best I can. And yeah, this is that. You know how people be like, this ain't that. This is surely that. This is that 100%. So you getting all of it. So thank you if you like tuning in, if you're sticking around for more episodes. Thank you. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on your bell notification if you're listening on YouTube, because you don't want to miss. Like, why would you listen? Do I really gotta explain? Why would you want to miss, you know, my random thoughts? It could be something that you need right now in the moment, like this. Like, we going into the weekend. What's your self-identity? That's going to help, you know, allow you to bring in the experiences that you want to bring in. What you doing on your weekend? What you doing with your weekend? Where's your self-identity? Where's your values? What do you value? What do you like to do? What do you get into, boys and girls? But yeah, after you like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on those bell notifications and leave your comments. Make sure you leave your comments. Had to say that about twice or thrice because I really want to connect with you. But after you do all of that, if you don't do nothing else today, I'm all right. You ain't got to do nothing else. But just do one last thing for me, and that's love yourself and always. And I'll see you on my next episode. Bye.